The virus was traced back to this now closed seafood and meat market, but tests have so far failed to isolate a source.
As of this morning, there have been 571 cases confirmed by the Chinese government, and 17 people are reported to have died of this new strain of respiratory illness.
Land, domestic air and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended beginning March 15, 2020 and to end on April 14, 2020.
There are several reasons why people visit the bar, and one of those reasons is to be entertained.
What you gonna do? You wanna get out? What you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
Bars give off a vibe that gives people the energy to party and mingle. But for the most part, the bar establishments are their go-to places to relax and forget all their problems. The pandemic, however, has put a pause on all of these activities. With that being said, the external environment played a huge part in the downslope of their operations. Mr. Medina is here to explain to us the environmental factors affecting the bar industry in Metro Manila.
Few industries felt the impact of the coronavirus pandemic more on the food and beverage industry. Filipinos are fond of going outside and having fun with friends, or even sometimes just like being said that they want to relax. And with the full impact of the pandemic to the bar industry that playing out is the fear of hundreds of thousands of bar establishments have been permanently closed. Here in Makati City and Taguig, which has the famous bars in the country, most establishments like the Spirits Library and Local have been shut down by the coronavirus pandemic. But there are also bar establishments who continue to fight and to survive this worldwide pandemic like Otto, 205, and The Curator. The COVID-19 is a virus that is suspectedly started from Wuhan, China. This virus is contagious and deadly wherein it can infect many people rapidly. With its characteristic of being an airborne virus that can pass on one individual to another, it greatly affects the bar industry, in which this kind of establishments are high risk to spread the virus from one another.
Thank you, Mr. Brexler Medina, for your insights. Although I have one question for you. Do you think the impacts of the pandemic in the bar industry contributed a lot in the downslope of the Philippine economy today?
Yes, food and beverage industry badly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and the bar industry was the one that is mostly affected. In fact, most of the people, especially in Taguig and Makati district, the people there are fond of going outside just to go to their favorite bars. The leisure of the people on going to the bar industry has been hit directly by the COVID-19. The environmental phenomenon of this virus spreading throughout the world has been greatly affects everyone and everything, including our country's economy.
Now, the political factors also affect every business establishments here in the Philippines.
Dalawang bar sa Makati City ang huling nag-ooperate kahit bawal ito sa ilalim ng modified ECQ.
Last March 15, 2020, the government issued a nationwide lockdown due to the rise in COVID-19 cases in the Philippines. The nationwide lockdown caused local businesses and establishments to shut down and stop operating. It affects the bar industry in a way that operations were forced to stop following the mandate of the government to prevent the virus from spreading. Restaurant and bar were forced to limit the number of dine-in customers to observe social distancing, and some even limit it to just take-out orders. On the human resource side, some employees lost their job temporarily because the operation is limited, hence the number of staff needed decreases as well. Due to the precautionary measures to fight against COVID-19, many staff and consumers in the hospitality field and the establishment themselves face challenges due to the forced shutdown of operations. Such policies like curfew hours, closure of physical stores, and limitation in operation in restaurants, hotels, resorts, pubs, bars, and other leisure facilities have been trending news in many countries ever since the lockdown was implemented. In Ireland, as per RTE 2020, 140,000 workers lost their jobs, of which 120,000 were workers in pubs, clubs, and restaurants. There were similar reports across other countries like Hong Kong, France, and California. Following the government mandates, the bar industry must partake on how to have a solution to continuously operate, in which having an alfresco dining for a pandemic-friendly environment for dining customers, as well as having an operational structure that can make their employees have a smooth flow of shifts. Lastly is having an alternative product besides cocktails because of government mandates about alcoholic beverages being least prioritized product to cater.
As challenging as it seems to recover from the tremendous downturn in the bar industry brought by the pandemic, the resilience and adaptation to cope up with the losses is evident in every organization, in every establishment. The technological changes and capabilities are continuously evolving alongside the trends that are being patronized by many of the consumers today. Bars are coming up with menu innovations that will be tailor-fitted in today's trend and will be flexible to the government mandate of liquor ban at the same time. Technology is being adapted in the industry in numerous ways possible to maximize its utmost potential and profitability for the recovery of the industry. The use of applications for third-party couriers to cater delivery orders is one of the first steps in mitigating the impacts of the pandemic. Meanwhile, social media plays a crucial role in alleviating the impacts of the pandemic, as it is not just a marketing tool but a communication platform as well. With the rise of contactless trend to ensure the safety of both the employees and the consumers, the social media is utilized by the bar industry to rebuild their relationship with guests, making use of it as a tool to close the physical gap due to quarantine and social distancing.
Even before the pandemic started, one of the challenges that the bar can have is being on par with its competitors. The bar industry has been growing and expanding through the years. Given that there's a fierce competition in the industry, entrepreneurs should constantly adapt with the changes across the world, whether be it with their customers' preferences or other economic changes.
Recently, we had our thesis about the bar industry. The Spirits Library, 205, Otto, and the Creator Coffee and Cocktails are just some of the bars in Metro Manila that incurred a tremendous effect due to this global crisis. Being in a monopolistic competition, one should be innovative enough to have an edge among its competitors. Not to mention that these bars are all situated in Metro Manila wherein the competition is very tough. The selected bars are slowly trying to adapt to the current global situation. The Creator Coffee and Cocktails are now offering to-go beverages, and they also put an al fresco dining for its customers. The same goes to 205 and O2. Meanwhile, the Spirits Library is still in the process of recovery due to their temporary shutdown of operation. The selected bars are now reassessing their opportunities, assets, resources, equipment, and practices to bring back the prosperity of the bar and be prepared for whatever changes there may be on the guest behavior, competitors, and environment.
Thank you, Ms. Insauriga. Although I have a question for you. What do you think are the strategies of these bars to be ahead of their competitors?
I can't really say who's better among these bars, especially that they are offering quite similar product, but one thing I can say is that based on the findings of our recent study, these bars are trying to adapt to the changes due to the pandemic, like utilizing social media more to reach their market and converting their dining setup to outdoor dining to have a pandemic-friendly environment.
It is without a doubt that the bar industry among the food and beverage establishments were greatly affected by the pandemic that we are facing today. Most businesses are facing bankruptcy and is forced to cease operations, making our country's economic performance decrease by the day. However, some chose to innovate and create ways to reconnect with their customers and continue their operations with a few tweaks and changes that adapt to the environment that we are living in. We firmly believe that the bar industry is just facing a challenge that can be surpassed. By giving it time to adapt to the changes, we can hope for a great big step to the bar industry as well as the Philippines economy. I am Earl Jariel. This has been the impacts of the pandemic, the bar industry,